When you're doing something for the first time, it can be difficult to piece together how everything sort of fits. You have an idea of what's going to happen, you may have watched some videos and done some research, but you don't really know what happens in between those moments. And Nerf is no exception. My name is Brandon, and today I just wanted to quickly run through the 4 things that I wish I had known when I went to my first few events. Before I went to my first event, I had watched a lot of gameplay footage of different types of wars and different clubs and different locations. So I had a pretty good feel for what it was like on the field, but there were a lot of things that I missed because I just didn't know to look for them. For example, how important a sling is. Because on the field, there might not be a place to set your blaster. So if you're holding it and you need to put a dart in this, you're out of hands. There's just no way of doing this. So I ended up doing this sort of awkward arm tuck thing where I would like shove it between my arm, reload, get it back out, and then get back into the fight. And it didn't feel great. It was also difficult to get things out of my pockets if I needed to check my phone, or in between rounds when you're just kind of chatting with someone. It feels weird sometimes to just be holding a blaster at attention when you're just having a casual conversation. So I wholeheartedly recommend getting a cheap sling, because that way you can just let it fall, your hands are free, I can reload, I can do whatever I want, and my blaster is just right here, ready to pick up easily and quickly. And it doesn't need to be anything tactical or fancy or expensive. It just needs to be something that can hold the blaster somewhere on your body without you having to hold it. It can be an old laptop strap or an old belt that you have laying around, a piece of rope or twine, plastic bags tied together, whatever. And I know plenty of people who don't use a sling and they seem to get by just fine, but I'm just not dexterous enough or something and I can't. So I'm happy for them, get a sling. The next thing that I wish I had known is that I should have brought more water and snacks. Now, if you play any sort of sport, this isn't going to be surprising, but if you are out actively doing something all day, you are going to burn a lot of calories and you're going to get hungry faster than usual. You are going to sweat, presumably, and therefore be thirsty faster. And not having water or food when you need water or food sucks. So bring a few extra water bottles. I really like the Foam Blast water pouches that they sell. They're really cheap and reusable. They clip on your gear easily and otherwise can just sort of fit into things that round bottles don't. And just toss a few granola bars or some fruit snacks or Snickers, whatever, just somewhere on you to keep one and eat one when you need to eat one. That's how food works. And the third thing that I wish I had known earlier was that I did not need a super powerful modded blaster. Now, obviously, the prevalence of modified blasters and the strength of those blasters is going to vary from club to club, but I had this overwhelming feeling that everyone else has a Caliburn, I'm gonna need a Caliburn. Everyone else has a modified Strife, I'm gonna need a modified Strife. And yes, having a blaster that is similar in strength to other people's blasters definitely keeps things more even, but realistically, I would have done fine if I just had a stock rival blaster. The only thing you have to account for is if your blaster has lower velocity, you need to be closer. You can't hang back and shoot because you just don't have the range. So you need to be a little bit more mobile, or you need to play very defensively, depending on the game type. If you're going to bring a stock blaster though, I would really recommend grabbing a rival because they're already roughly 100 FPS out of the box, so it's going to make that bridge a lot more narrow, which is just gonna help overall. If you come out of the gate with like a stock disruptor or something, it's going to be more difficult, especially outdoors. But again, that just means that you need to close that distance. If you only can fire 20 feet, then you just need to make sure that you are within 20 feet of that person. Some blasters are actually hard to use at close range, so closing the distance also makes them less effective. Unless it's like a Prometheus and then you're just wait for them to reload. That's all I gotta do. And speaking of blasters, something that I really didn't understand for way too long is that you don't need to bring every blaster that you own to every game. I don't really know what it was, but the first few games I went to, I packed up the back of my car with like 20 or 30 blasters. I just had this thought in my mind that like, I'm going to need this one for this situation. I'm going to need this one for this situation. And what if we do this? I might need that. And I used like 3. All you really need is a blaster. That's it. You just need a blaster to participate. Loners notwithstanding. Now, if you own more blasters, I would recommend bringing a sidearm of some type, and I would also recommend bringing an alternate primary. If you're bringing a flywheeler, maybe have a Springer alternate and vice versa, just in case there's an issue with your battery, or if the weather is not conducive to your Springer, you just have some options. I will also typically bring a Mega Blaster of some type, typically like a Big Shock or something small, just for mega specific rule sets. I would also recommend bringing at least 1 stock blaster, just in case there are stock only rounds, or if there's an HVZ round and your primary is running a little hot and you can't use it. It's just nice to have the option to bring yourself down a little bit if you need to. But what about you? If you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself? And if you've never been to an event, what other questions do you have? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you found this video helpful, or that you will find it helpful in the future. And if you did, please leave me a like, or leave me a like just in case you find it helpful in the future. And if you're interested in more content like this, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.